You've probably heard a million times the golden rule. Don't draft a defense nor a kicker early. Well, this year, that rule applies even more than ever. And here's why. What's going on, fantasy football fans? I'm your host, Hussein the Brain, and you're watching The Couch. We're going to be talking about my team defense rankings. We're going to be talking about strength of schedule for team defenses, and also my top 9 defenses that you can target later on in drafts. And we're going to touch upon kickers just a little bit. These are my top 9 defenses as far as rankings go. After about number 9, it gets a little bit murky. And as you can see, what's the first thing that pops out to you? Oh, this guy ranked the Broncos defense not number 1 and not number 2. I know. And this is why you shouldn't target a defense early. I think the year was 2013. It was my 2013 Fantasy Couch League draft. I drafted the Seahawks defense in round 7. A bit too early. It was bold. It ended up kind of working out. I think I finished 3rd that year. I know I had the second best team. I had a really good team. The Seahawks defense won me a lot of games just by themselves with those pick sixes and just playing so good at home. It was incredible. So it kind of ended up working out. I didn't come in first place, but it worked out a little bit. The next year, I did the same thing. I drafted the Seahawks defense early. It did not work out. My team finished horrible. That's when I really learned my lesson. The Seahawks, you feel dumb. When you draft a defense in round 5, 6, or 7, you feel dumb. The pressure's on you already, like from the get-go. The season hasn't even started, the pressure is on. And then that year, I believe, which was 2014 when I drafted the Seahawks defense early again, they were not good. They were mediocre at best. I just felt dumb. I felt down, and I felt like I had to change my team around. I dropped the Seahawks defense. They didn't have a great schedule at the end, and I was like, this is already a bust. Right when I dropped them, they started doing really well. So that's when I learned not to ever do that again. It just happened last year in the Couch League. Again, somebody drafted the Broncos defense in round 5. They ended up being really good. He was on a win streak and it just fell apart. The Broncos defense started getting frustrated. They were really angry, just weren't mentally in it. And the offense was just so horrible. They weren't moving the ball. Their offensive line sucked. Their play at quarterback sucked. They don't have Peyton Manning anymore. And it really brought the team down. A lot of things happened with that team. We noticed a lot of holes in that defense and, of course, the offense. Talking about the offense, because that matters a lot when you pick a defense. An offense that knows how to move the ball, that has a good offensive line. They're going to be in better position to have a good defense. An offense that throws pick sixes and turns the ball over, it puts the defense in a terrible position. Even if your defense is great, you're not going to be able to defend people every game if the opposing team's offense has great field position. It's not going to happen, and that's why I rank the Broncos low. They have a tough schedule. Their offense is a huge question mark. We don't even know if Simeon or Paxton Lynch is going to start. My money's on Paxton Lynch, but I'm like at 51%. This is one of the toughest positions in fantasy football to predict from year to year, other than kicker. Kicker is the toughest position to project. So I'm swinging for upside. I think the Jaguars are a great value. They're a great upside defense to pick, and you're going to be able to get them late in the round. I just did 2 mock drafts, 2 competitive mock drafts, where I got the Jaguars defense in the second to last round. They have a lot of upside. They did okay last time. The offense put them in horrible positions, and they didn't get a lot of turnovers. They can get this pass rush to work, and Fournette can do his job. The offense can stop sucking so bad. This Jaguars defense has the most upside. I ranked the Texans number 1 overall because they're proven. JJ Watt's coming back. Less risk here, okay? I admit, Jaguars defense, I know it's a lot of risk, but for the value, for the upside, and the strength of schedule, which we're about to go into, it's an awesome pick. For weeks 1 through 16, which is what most of us play in fantasy football, guess who has the easiest strength of schedule as far as team defense scoring goes in fantasy? The Jaguars do, followed by the Niners. The Jaguars have a very easy schedule. To me, it just doesn't make logical sense to draft a defense early. And the Broncos defense, I didn't mention, has some holes. Like, they've been exploited. What do? Double team Von Miller. They got great cornerbacks, but they can't defend every receiver every play. Run the ball against them. They have plenty of holes on that defense. And here's another reason why the offense is so important, especially when talking about the Broncos. If the Broncos can't get a lead, those cornerbacks, no fly zone, and Von Miller, they're going to be a little bit phased out because you could just run the ball against them. If you can pound the ball and score against them, like we saw the Raiders do with slow Latavius Murray, they just pounded the ball and dominated them last year. This defense can be attacked. And by the way, strength of schedule, the Texans have the 11th easiest strength of schedule, the Texans defense, and the Broncos have dang near the hardest schedule as far as their defense goes in fantasy at 30th for their strength of schedule. Okay, I didn't know this show was gonna be all about the Broncos defense. I'm getting so defensive. So this is what you need to do. As you can tell, I like the Jaguars and Texans D a lot, but I'm not gonna be reaching for the Texans D. Texans D tends to go pretty early, usually a top 2, if not a top 4. People know the Texans D is good. With your very last pick, draft a kicker. Please, draft a kicker. I love Justin Tucker, I love Gostkowski, but I'm never gonna be able to get him in the second to last or last round or even third to last round, where I might consider it, but I'm not considering because it's not realistic. Those guys get drafted like round 10, 11 in leagues. Like, people take them way too early. Draft a kicker with your last pick. With the second to last pick, you're drafting a team defense, and here are the 9 team defenses to target because they have easy schedules for the first few weeks. My number 1 defense to draft, second to last pick of the draft, is the Steelers defense. Come on, look at this schedule. Week 1 at Cleveland. Week 2 versus Minnesota. They're going to be at home playing in Pittsburgh. Minnesota, how is their offense? Crappy. They're going to be playing the Bears. Who's their quarterback? They don't really have any. Playing the Ravens. Okay, they're a little improved this year, but I don't see it being a high-scoring game. Do you? Then they're playing Jacksonville. I love this. And the Steelers are another team with a lot of upside. We saw them improve later on in the season. They started off really slow. Then they were like mediocre, average. Then they got like above average. They started playing a little bit better. And don't just look at fantasy points. You got to see these guys play. They started to gel a little bit more. I don't think the Steelers are a great defense, but man, like I said, I'm not wasting an early pick. I love the Steelers at the value. You can definitely get the Steelers defense late in drafts. Here's one you can get off waivers. The Bills defense at number 2, I think it's worth it just to have them, man. Just pick them up, play them against the Jets, and you may want to drop them the next week. But hey, I really like a defense that's played against the Jets. The Jets could be the worst team. I think everyone will agree with me. The Jets are a bottom 3 team. We got the Ravens D, similar to the Steelers, kind of like they can only go up. We saw a lot of holes with the Ravens last year, and they haven't quite been the same since Ray Lewis left. They've been on and off, and last year it wasn't really cracking, but this year I think they're gonna improve. Like, basically, they're not gonna get worse than last year. We'll put it like that. They're facing the Bengals, they're facing the Browns, then Jacksonville. Not great, but when I ranked these, I also kept in mind upside and long-term value. Yeah, you definitely want to start them against these matchups that I'm calling out, but you also might want to keep them long-term. That's why I got the Steelers number 1. I could see a situation where I keep them throughout the whole year. Maybe drop them during the bye week, but keep them, long-term. Falcons D, this is another defense that has improved severely, significantly improved throughout the year. They started off, I thought they were garbage. I thought they were a total joke, to be honest. I was like, they got some cool young pieces, some fast players, but they're just all potential. I thought they were a joke. Then I was like, they're not so bad. And then we saw in the playoffs and the Super Bowl, except, towards the end of the third quarter, we saw that the Falcons were really good. I really like the Falcons defense, man. The cornerbacks were playing. They were just really into the game, really excited. They looked like they loved to play. The pass rush was working a bit. And surprisingly, they stopped the run in the playoffs. That was crazy. The Falcons defense played really, really well in the playoffs. Got a pick 6 against Brady. Then we have the Chargers D at number 5 playing against the Broncos week 1, then the Dolphins week 2. The Panthers defense, people are reaching for this. They think the Panthers defense is going to come back. Bruh, they don't, no, I mean, come on. No, it's not going to happen. So this one, number 6, you're probably not, like, maybe not be able to get later on. But I do love them the first 2 weeks, playing against the Niners, playing against the Bills. Probably not going to be high-scoring teams. So I do like them at number 6, but beware, you may not be able to get them late like the strategy we talked about. Then we have the Bucs defense. Don't like them, but first 3 weeks, not so bad of a schedule. This is a good defensive target in deep leagues, like 16-man leagues, or some of you are in 20-team leagues and just a bunch of crazy leagues this year I'm hearing about. We got the Colts defense, horrible, just like the Bucs, right? Like, no one's gonna, don't pick the Colts defense like in a 10-team league, all right? That's stupid. All right, but if you're in a 16-man league, people are drafting 2 defenses or some crazy like, hey, I might be able to get the Colts later. And check this out, they're playing against the Rams, the wackest offense. They're playing against the Cardinals. Not great. I mean, David Johnson should be able to run on them, get about 150 rushing yards, about 75 to 100 receiving yards. But hey, Carson Palmer's not looking that great. And then the Browns. We all know what's up with that. Then the Seahawks, not a great offensive line. Then my 49ers. So, like I said, Colts defense, super sleeper in deep leagues. Then we have the Packers D. I never have faith in the Packers D. I ended up being right last year when people were drafting the Packers defense around like the 11th best defense is where people had them ranked. I ended up being right. They were like not even, they were just horrible. That defense was trash. There were high scoring games, these Packer games. But I have the Packers defense. They should improve. They had some injuries. I don't think they'll even finish as a top 15 defense. But I have them here. They're facing Seattle. Seattle's offensive line might be trash, and it's in Green Bay. Well, there you have it, guys. I wanted to start off these ranking videos by starting off with the easiest one, defense. One that probably won't change too much, even if it's late July or August or even early September, unless a major injury happens to a defensive player during training camp or preseason or something like that, but that is pretty rare. Well, guys, leave a comment below. Let me know who is the #1 ranked defense. Who do you think? Do you agree with me ranking the Broncos so low? Let me know. Leave a comment. Also, like this video. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel and hit that bell notification icon. I'll see you guys on the next video.